Welcome to the Child and Adult Care Food Program training. This is our CACFP contact information. The number displayed on the screen is our main line. Please be sure to bookmark the two websites you see on the screen, our CACFP website and the Colorado Nutrition Portal website. In this course, you will learn about the grain ounce equivalence requirement. We will discuss what the grain ounce equivalents are and why it is important to use this measurement at your institution for grains served. We will also discuss how to determine grain ounce equivalents using the following two resources: the USDA ounce equivalents for grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program handout, and USDA's Food Buying Guide for Child Nutrition Programs. So let's get started. To ensure that enough grains are served at CACFP meals and snacks, starting October 1, 2021, ounce equivalents will be the required method of measurement for the grains component. On the slide, you can see the updated CACFP meal pattern chart. The updated charts are available to you on our website. Please be sure to use the updated CACFP meal pattern chart starting October 1, 2021. Please note that the ounce equivalent measurement is already being used for the meat alternate component. So this is not a new concept in the CACFP. To better help you understand the concept of the grain ounce equivalents, let's look at a few examples on the next slides. Because many grain products contain other ingredients besides grains, such as milk or eggs, that contribute to the weight of the product, using ounce equivalents allows us to only credit the amount of grains toward the grain component. The bread shown at the top contains a higher amount of grain compared to the waffle shown at the bottom. This is because there are other ingredients in the waffle, such as eggs and oil, contributing to its weight, but the bread contains mostly grains. Therefore, even though the serving size for the bread is 28 grams and the serving size for the waffle is 34 grams, they both would be credited as 1 ounce equivalent of grains. To ensure you are meeting the grain ounce equivalent requirement and serving enough grains at your CACFP meals and snacks, we recommend that you use the following resources: the USDA's handout using ounce equivalents for grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and the Food Buying Guide. So let's take a closer look at the USDA's handout first. This handout contains a grains measuring chart on pages 2 through 4, which tells you how much of a grain item you need to serve to meet the CACFP meal pattern requirements. To use this chart, you will need to follow a 3-step process. First, find the grain you want to serve under the grain item and size column. Next, check if the chart lists a size or weight by the name of the grain. If the chart lists a weight, then use the nutrition facts label to ensure the items you want to serve weighs equal to or more than the grain on the chart. For example, if the grain we are wanting to serve is bread, we will first find it under the grain item and size column. We see that it does not have a weight listed. Therefore, we will need to make sure that the bread we are planning on serving meets the minimum weight requirement per serving size. To do so, we will look at the nutrition facts label of the bread and find the serving size in grams. In our example, the serving size is 1 slice and it weighs 28 grams, which meets the minimum weight requirement listed on the chart. If a chart does not list a weight but lists a size, then you will need to use the grains measuring tool to ensure that the grain item you are planning on serving is the same size or larger than the item listed on the grains measuring chart. The grains measuring tool is available to you on the last page or page 6 of the handout. Please note that in order to use the grains measuring tool, the worksheet must be printed at 100% on standard 8.5 by 11-inch paper. Let's take a look at an example. If the grain we are wanting to serve is round crackers, we will first find it under the grain item and size column. We see that the cracker must be at least 1 3/4 inch across. We will use the grain measuring tool to measure our crackers to ensure they are at least 1 3/4 inch across. The grains measuring tool offers a few common cracker size and shapes, which you can use to place your cracker on top of to ensure the minimum size requirement is met. Alternatively, you can use the ruler at the bottom of the page. The ruler is divided into 1/4 inch increments. Either way, we now know that our crackers are 1 3/4 inch across and meet the minimum size requirement listed on the chart. If the chart does not list a weight or size, then you do not need to check the weight or size of the product before moving on to step 3. A few examples of grains without a weight or size listed would be oatmeal, pasta, or grits. The third and last step is finding the column for the age of your participants and the meal or snack you are serving. These three columns list the amount of a grain you will need to serve to meet the meal pattern requirement for grains for different age groups. For example, if serving pasta to a 1 to 5-year-old, you must serve at least ½ ounce equivalent, which equals a 1/4 cup cooked or 14 grams dry pasta. If serving pasta to a 6 to 18-year-old, you must serve at least 1 ounce equivalent, which equals 1/2 cup cooked or 28 grams dry pasta. If you are serving pasta to an adult, you must serve at least 2 ounce equivalents, which equals 1 cup cooked or 56 grams dry pasta. It is now time for a few knowledge checks. The first question: if you want to serve oatmeal to a 2-year-old child for breakfast, how many cups of oatmeal do you need to serve to meet the minimum required amounts of grains? The options are A, a 1/4 cup, B, a 1/2 cup, C, 1 cup, D, 2 cups. And the answer is 1/4 cup. Second question: what do you need to do if the chart lists a weight next to the grain item you are wanting to serve? The options are A, use the grains measuring tool to make sure your grain item meets the size requirement. B, use the nutrition facts label to make sure your grain item meets the weight requirement. C, nothing additional. You are ready to go to step 3. And the answer is use the nutrition facts label to make sure your grain item meets the weight requirement. Last question: what do you need to do if the chart lists a size next to the grain item you are wanting to serve? The options are A, use the grains measuring tool to make sure your grain item meets the size requirement. B, use the nutrition facts label to make sure your grain item meets the weight requirement. Or C, nothing additional. You are ready to go to step 3. And the answer is use the grains measuring tool to make sure your grain item meets the size requirement. There are a few situations in which you should use the food buying guide instead of the USDA's handout. If the grain item you are wanting to serve is not on the USDA's handout, if the USDA's chart lists a weight and the item you want to serve weighs less than the grain in the chart, if the USDA's chart lists a size and the item you want to serve is smaller than the item listed on the chart, if you do not know the size or weight of the item, or if you are very familiar with the food buying guide and or prefer to use it. There is a user guide and several training videos found on the home screen under the Help tab. The Exhibit A Grains tool to the rescue resource is available to you if you would like to watch a more in-depth presentation on this helpful tool. Now let's walk through some of the food buying guide together. We will use the web-based interactive tool to help us determine how many pounds of apples, how many pounds of oatmeal, and how many gallons of milk we need to purchase to serve 57 3 to 5-year-old portions. The 57 servings is a blended number of 1 to 2-year-olds, 3 to 5-year-olds, and adults. For your convenience, the food buying guide is also available as a mobile app or as a PDF document, which you can download and print. We will use the web-based tool. We're going to continue as a guest user. Select your organization type from the drop-down menu, and then click Enter. Now we're going to click on the Food Buying Guide Calculator button on the home screen. Click Create Shopping List, enter a shopping list name, and then select today's date. Next, you're going to click on the Fruit Meal Component tab, enter apples into the keyword search, and click Search. And then when you find what you want, click the green Add button to the left to include that food into the shopping list below. Here, we're going to click Add Serving Size. The serving size row will appear under the food item row. To figure out our serving size, we will need to know the age group and the meal we're planning for. In this example, our age group is 3 to 5-year-olds and our meal is breakfast. So we're going to select the serving size 1/2 cup from the drop-down menu and enter the total number of servings, 57. Look out of the box and you'll see the number of servings, exact quantity, and by purchase units for the food item, calculated automatically and displayed in the food item row. Please note you can also click on Add Serving Size again to account for multiple serving sizes for different age groups if you do not have the blended number calculated. Now we're going to click Remove Serving Size because we do have a blended number. You may also enter the number of purchase units on hand in the food item row, and it will be taken into account when the total by purchase units for a food is calculated. So we're going to click Save for this item to be saved, and repeat the same steps for oats by clicking on the Grains tab and typing oats in the key item search. We're going to click Add, and then we're going to click Add Serving Size. The serving size will be 1/4 cup, and again, the number of servings will be 57. I'm going to click Save, Close, and repeat the same steps for milk. Click Add, Add Serving Size, and then the serving size will be 3/4 of a cup. Number of servings is 57, and click Save. Use the Back to List button to return to the Food Buying Guide Calculator My Shopping List screen. See information under the Shopping List Name tab, and it will contain a summary shopping list for the food items we entered. Under Actions, there's an option to edit, copy, delete, save as a PDF, send as a text, or email the shopping list. We will open it as a PDF. And there you have it. Now I can save and print this or save it to my desktop. And we can look at this shopping list a little bit closer. So, in our example, to serve oatmeal, fresh apples, and milk for breakfast to 16 1 to 2-year-olds, 37 3 to 5-year-olds, and 6 adults, you can see in bold that we need to purchase 7.75 pounds of whole fresh apples, 1.25 pounds of oats, and 3 gallons of milk. Please take the time to explore this resource if you have not done yet so already. And please make sure to reach out to your nutrition consultant if you have any questions. Let's review. In this course, you have learned about the grain ounce equivalence requirement. We discussed what the grain ounce equivalents are and why it is important to use this measurement at your institution for grains served. As a reminder, starting on October 1, 2021, ounce equivalents will be required as the method of measurement for the grains component on the CACFP. We also discussed how to determine grain ounce equivalents using the following 2 resources: the USDA ounce equivalents for grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program handout, and USDA's Food Buying Guide for Child Nutrition Programs. Thank you for completing this course. If you used a platform that provided a certificate for viewing this training, please keep your certificate on file for review purposes.